The Atlanta summer heat was suffocating that Thursday afternoon. I pulled into my driveway after leaving work early, my temples throbbing with the migraine that had been building since lunch. The office air conditioning had broken down, and after 4 hours of sitting in that stuffy conference room going over quarterly reports, all I wanted was to take some Excedrin and lie down in my dark bedroom. I'm Naomi Carter, 33 years old, a senior marketing analyst at a pharmaceutical company downtown. I'd worked my way up from an entry-level position over the past 8 years, putting in 60-hour weeks, missing family dinners, sacrificing weekends. My mother always said I was too focused on my career, that I needed to pay more attention to my marriage. I should have listened. My husband Marcus's car was in the driveway, which surprised me. He was supposed to be at his auto repair shop until 6. We'd been married for 5 years, together for 7. He was the kind of man who made you feel safe. 6'2", solid build, with hands that could rebuild an engine, but touched you with surprising gentleness. At least, that's who I thought he was. I grabbed my purse and laptop bag from the passenger seat, my heels clicking against the concrete as I walked toward our modest 2-story house in East Point. The neighborhood was quiet, just the distant sound of someone's lawnmower and kids playing basketball a few streets over. Our home had a small front porch where I'd planted petunias in terracotta pots, trying to make the place feel more like ours, and less like just another rental property. The front door was unlocked. I pushed it open, the cool air inside hitting my face like a blessing. I kicked off my heels in the entryway and set my bags down on the console table, noticing immediately that something felt off. There were 2 wine glasses on the coffee table in the living room, both half empty. Marcus didn't drink wine in the middle of the day. Marcus barely drank wine at all. Then I heard it. Laughter. Coming from upstairs. A woman's laughter, light and familiar in a way that made my stomach clench. And Marcus's voice, low and intimate, saying something I couldn't quite make out. My heart started pounding. I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe his sister had stopped by. Maybe it was a client. But his sister lived in Savannah, and Marcus never brought clients to our house. I walked toward the stairs, each step feeling heavier than the last. The laughter continued, and now I could hear music playing softly. That old Anita Baker song, Sweet Love. It was my mother's favorite. My mother who lived 20 minutes away in College Park. My mother who had her own key to our house. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. Through the gap, I could see movement, shadows shifting against the afternoon light filtering through our curtains. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob. Some part of me knew what I was about to see, but my mind refused to accept it, kept offering up alternative explanations that made no sense. I pushed the door open. They were on my bed. On the sheets I had washed and put on fresh just 3 days ago. My mother, Patricia Williams, 56 years old, her hair slightly mussed, wearing a silk robe I'd given her for Christmas. And Marcus, my husband, sitting on the edge of the bed in his jeans and undershirt, his hand on her thigh. Time did that thing it does in moments of trauma. It stretched and compressed simultaneously. I saw everything at once and in excruciating detail. The way his fingers curved against her skin, the intimacy of their posture, the wine bottle on my nightstand, my mother's shoes kicked off by the bathroom door. Naomi. My mother's voice cut through the fog. She stood up quickly, tightening the robe around herself. Baby, you're home early. Baby. She called me baby while sitting on my bed with my husband. Marcus stood too, his face draining of color. Nay, listen. How long? The words came out of me before I even realized I was speaking. My voice sounded strange, too calm, like it belonged to someone else entirely. They looked at each other. That look told me everything. This wasn't new. This wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. This was practiced, rehearsed. This was a pattern. How long? I repeated, my voice harder now. 3 years. my mother said quietly. Give or take. 3 years. The number hit me like a physical blow. I gripped the doorframe to steady myself. 3 years meant this started before Marcus and I even got married. 3 years meant every anniversary, every holiday, every Sunday dinner at her house. All of it had been a lie. You need to sit down, Marcus said, taking a step toward me. Let us explain. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't you dare come near me. My mother moved around the bed, her expression shifting into something I'd seen 1,000 times before. That particular combination of concern and condescension she used when she thought I was being too emotional. Naomi, if you would just calm down and listen. Calm down. I laughed, and it sounded hysterical even to my own ears. You're in my bed with my husband, and you want me to calm down? It's not what you think, she said. Then what is it, Mama? Please explain to me what I'm supposed to think right now. She glanced at Marcus again, some silent communication passing between them that excluded me entirely. I'd seen that look before too, I realized. At family barbecues, at church, during the holidays. All those times I thought they were just getting along well, that I was lucky my husband and mother had such a good relationship. I had been so stupid. We didn't mean for it to happen, Marcus said. It just what? You just accidentally fell into bed with my mother, multiple times, for 3 years? You're never here, my mother said, and there was an edge to her voice now. Always at that office, always working late, always putting your career first. Marcus needed. Don't you put this on me. I could feel tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not in front of them. Don't you dare blame me for your betrayal. Nobody's blaming you, Marcus said. But your mother's right. We barely see each other anymore. When's the last time we had a real conversation? When's the last time we... So that gives you the right to sleep with my mother? I cut him off. That's your justification? The room went silent except for the sound of that damn Anita Baker song still playing from somewhere. My mother's phone, probably. Sweet love, hear me calling out your name. The irony was almost funny. I looked at my mother. Really looked at her. She was still beautiful at 56, the kind of woman who turned heads at the grocery store. She'd always been vain about her appearance, always immaculately dressed and made up, always aware of how men looked at her. My father had died when I was 15, and she'd never remarried, though she'd had plenty of opportunities. Now I understood why. She was too busy sleeping with her daughter's husband. Get out, I said quietly. Naomi, please. My mother started. Get out! The scream tore out of me, raw and primal. Both of you, get the hell out of my house right now. Marcus grabbed his shirt from the chair by the window. My mother started gathering her things, her purse, her shoes, her phone. They moved with practiced efficiency, like they'd done this before. How many times had they been together in my house? How many afternoons had I been at work while they were here, in my bed, in my space? We should talk about this, Marcus said as he headed toward the door. When you've had time to process... There's nothing to process. We're done. Pack your things and find somewhere else to stay. This is my house too, he said. And there was a flash of defiance in his voice that I'd never heard before. Then I'll leave. I don't care. I'm not staying under the same roof as you. My mother paused in the doorway, her eyes meeting mine. For a moment I thought she might apologize. For a moment I thought I might see some glimmer of remorse or shame or regret. But all I saw was defensiveness. You'll understand eventually, she said, when you're not so emotional. That was the moment something inside me broke completely. Not shattered. Breaking implies noise and drama. This was quieter, like a thread snapping, like a door closing. I will never understand, I told her. And I will never forgive you, either of you. They left. I heard their footsteps on the stairs, heard the front door open and close, heard Marcus's car start up and pull away. Then silence. I stood in my bedroom doorway for a long time, staring at that unmade bed, at those wine glasses, at the physical evidence of their betrayal. The migraine I'd come home to treat was nothing compared to the pain radiating through my entire body now. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my mother. "We need to talk. I'll call you tomorrow." I blocked her number. Then I blocked Marcus's. Then I sat down on the bedroom floor, finally letting myself cry. I didn't sleep in that bed. I couldn't. Instead, I spent the night on the couch downstairs, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through every moment of the past 3 years, recontextualizing everything I thought I knew. The time Marcus insisted we spend Thanksgiving at my mother's house because family is important. The Sunday dinners that had become a weekly ritual. The way my mother always texted Marcus directly instead of me when she needed help with something around her house. That weekend last year when Marcus said he was going to a car show in Macon, but my mother had also been visiting a friend somewhere. I never asked where. All of it had been right in front of me. My phone kept buzzing throughout the night. Texts from Marcus's number that I couldn't see because he was blocked, which meant he'd probably switched to trying to email me or message me on social media. I deleted all my social media apps at 3 a.m, sitting in the dark glow of my phone screen, systematically cutting off every avenue they might use to contact me. By the time the sun came up Friday morning, I had a plan. I called in sick to work, the first sick day I'd taken in 2 years. My voice must have conveyed something because my manager, Sharon, didn't ask any questions, just told me to take care of myself and not worry about anything. Then I called the one person I knew I could trust, my cousin Jessica. She lived in Decatur, had always been more like a sister than a cousin. We'd grown up together, spent summers at our grandmother's house in Valdosta, shared secrets and dreams and disappointments. "Girl, it's 7 a.m, she answered, her voice thick with sleep. "This better be good." "Jess, I need you." My voice cracked on the words. "Can you come over?" She heard something in my tone because all the sleep dropped out of her voice immediately. "What happened? Are you okay?" "No. Can you come?" "I'm already getting dressed. Be there in 20. She made it in 15. I opened the door to find her standing there in sweatpants and a Howard University hoodie, her natural hair pulled back in a quick ponytail, concern written all over her face. "What's going on?" she asked, stepping inside. I told her everything. We sat at my kitchen table, the morning light streaming through the window, and I recounted every detail of what I'd walked in on yesterday. Jessica's expression went from shock to anger to something darker. "That's sick," she said when I finished. "Nay, that's genuinely sick. Your own mother?" 3 years, Jess. 3 years they've been doing this behind my back." She reached across the table and grabbed my hand. "What do you need? You want me to go over there and beat both their asses?" "Because I will." Despite everything, I smiled. "No. But I need to get out of this house. I can't be here anymore." "You can stay with me. My spare room is tiny, but..." "No, I mean I need to leave Atlanta, at least for a while. I need space to think, to figure out what comes next." Jessica nodded slowly. "Where are you thinking?" "My friend Vanessa in Charlotte. She's been asking me to visit for months. I think I'm going to drive up there, stay for a week or 2, clear my head." "What about Marcus? The house?" "I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. But first, I need to not be here." We spent the next few hours packing up my essential belongings. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop and work documents, important papers. Jessica helped me load everything into my Honda Accord, making trips up and down the stairs, occasionally muttering curses about Marcus and my mother under her breath. Around noon, Marcus's truck pulled into the driveway. "You want me to handle this?" Jessica asked, stepping protectively in front of me. "No. I need to do this myself." Marcus got out of his truck slowly. He looked terrible. Unshaven, his clothes rumpled, dark circles under his eyes. Good, I thought. I hoped he hadn't slept at all. Nay, he said, stopping a few feet away. Please, can we talk? There's nothing to talk about. I need to explain. You've been sleeping with my mother for 3 years. What is there to explain? He flinched. It's more complicated than that. How? How is it more complicated? You made a choice, multiple choices, for 3 years. You chose to betray me. You chose to lie to me every single day. I love you, he said, and he had the audacity to look like he meant it. You don't know what love is. Love doesn't do what you did. Your mother. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't blame her. You're both adults. You both made this choice. Jessica stepped forward. You need to leave, Marcus. Now. He looked at her, then back at me. Where are you going? That's none of your business anymore. You can't just leave. We need to figure things out. The house, the finances. Get a lawyer, I said. That's how we'll figure things out. Through lawyers. Naomi, please. I said leave, Marcus. I'm not going to ask again. Something in my voice must have convinced him I was serious because he backed toward his truck. I'll call you, he said. I blocked your number. Then I'll email you. I'll delete them. He stood there for another moment, looking lost and desperate, and I felt nothing. That was the strangest part. I'd loved this man. I'd built a life with him. And now, looking at him, I felt absolutely nothing but cold, detached anger. He got in his truck and drove away. You okay? Jessica asked softly. No, but I will be. We finished loading my car. Before I left, I went back inside one more time, walking through each room, looking at the life I'd built here. The framed photos on the wall, Marcus and me on our wedding day, at the beach last summer, at Jessica's birthday party. I took them all down and stacked them on the dining room table. Then I walked upstairs to the bedroom. The bed was still unmade. I stripped the sheets, threw them in the hallway, and made the bed with the spare set from the linen closet. I wasn't going to leave any trace of what had happened here for Marcus to see every day. Let him deal with it. In the bathroom, I gathered up my expensive skincare products, the perfume Marcus had bought me for our anniversary. I paused over my wedding rings, sitting in the small dish on my dresser, where I'd left them yesterday after coming home. The diamond engagement ring that had belonged to Marcus's grandmother. The simple gold band we'd chosen together. I left them there. On my way out, I stopped at the kitchen counter and wrote a note on the message pad we kept by the phone. Don't contact me, talk to my lawyer. You know the one. Simone Taylor, the woman from church you always said was too aggressive. Turns out I should have listened to her advice about prenups. I left the note on the counter, took one last look around, and walked out. Jessica followed me to the highway in her car, making sure I got on I-85 North safely. We pulled over at a gas station in Norcross, and she got out to give me a long hug. Call me every day, she said. I don't care what time. I need to know you're okay. I will. And Nay? You're doing the right thing. Getting away from them. Taking care of yourself. That takes strength. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. They don't deserve you, she added. They never did. I got back in my car and drove north, Atlanta disappearing in my rearview mirror. With every mile, I felt like I could breathe a little easier. The sky was overcast, threatening rain, matching my mood perfectly. I turned on the radio, then immediately turned it off. I didn't want music or noise or distraction. I wanted to sit with what had happened, to let myself feel it fully. My phone rang 3 times during the drive, numbers I didn't recognize. My mother, probably, calling from someone else's phone. I didn't answer. She tried again from what looked like a work number. I blocked that one too. By the time I crossed into North Carolina, it had started raining. I drove through the downpour, my windshield wipers working overtime, and found myself crying again. Not the hysterical sobbing from yesterday, but quiet tears that just kept coming. Like something inside me had cracked and was slowly leaking out. I reached Charlotte around 6 in the evening. Vanessa lived in a renovated warehouse apartment in Noda, the artsy neighborhood north of downtown. She was waiting for me when I pulled up, standing under an umbrella in the parking lot. "Oh, honey," she said when she saw my face, pulling me into a hug before I'd even fully gotten out of the car. "Come on, let's get you inside." Vanessa had been my college roommate at Spelman. We'd stayed close even after she moved to Charlotte for work 5 years ago. She knew me better than almost anyone, could read my moods without me having to say a word. Her apartment was warm and lived in, full of plants and artwork and mismatched furniture that somehow all worked together. She made me chamomile tea while I sat on her couch, wrapped in a throw blanket, staring at nothing. "Talk when you're ready," she said, handing me the mug. "Or don't talk at all. Whatever you need." I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with every detail. "Your mother," she said finally. "Jesus Christ, Nay. Your own mother. I keep trying to understand it. What I did wrong. How I missed the signs. Don't do that to yourself. This isn't on you. They made choices. Terrible, selfish choices." She said it was because I was always working. Like that justified it. Vanessa's eyes flashed with anger. "That's manipulative bullshit. Plenty of people have demanding careers and don't cheat. And even if there were problems in your marriage, which is their responsibility to address like adults, that doesn't give them the right to betray you like this." I sipped my tea, letting the warmth spread through me. I blocked both of them, cut off all contact. Good. You don't think I should hear them out? Let them explain? What could they possibly say that would make this okay? That would change what they did? I thought about that. Nothing, I guess. Part of me feels like I'm being too harsh, like I should be more forgiving. Why? Because that's what women are supposed to do? Be understanding and gracious even when people hurt us? Vanessa shook her head. Hell no. You have every right to be angry. You have every right to walk away. She's my mother. And she betrayed you in the worst way possible. Being family doesn't give someone a free pass to abuse your trust. We talked late into the night. Vanessa let me process, let me circle back to the same thoughts and questions over and over, never showing impatience or judgment. Around midnight, exhausted, I finally fell asleep on her couch. I stayed in Charlotte for 2 weeks. During that time, I started to piece my life back together in small ways. I called Simone Taylor, the lawyer from church, and started divorce proceedings. I contacted my landlord about breaking the lease or getting Marcus removed. I transferred money from our joint accounts into a new personal account. Practical things that needed handling, even though each step felt like acknowledging the death of something I'd believed in. Jessica called every day, keeping me updated on the situation in Atlanta. Marcus had tried to contact her multiple times, asking her to convince me to talk to him. My mother had shown up at Jessica's house twice, both times being turned away. The gossip had started spreading through our church community, through our neighborhood, through my mother's social circle. People are taking sides, Jessica told me on day 10. Most people are on yours, for what it's worth. Pastor Matthews actually said something during service about respecting vows and boundaries. Didn't name names, but everyone knew who he meant. What about my mother? Jessica hesitated. She's telling people you're overreacting, that you're being dramatic and refusing to let her explain the situation. Of course she is. Aunt Patricia has always been good at playing the victim, but people aren't buying it this time. Not when the details came out. What details? About how long it's been going on. About them being in your house, in your bed. People are disgusted, Nay. The way they should be. Despite everything, hearing that made me feel slightly better. At least I wasn't crazy. At least other people understood how wrong this was. On day 12, I was sitting in a coffee shop in Charlotte's South End, working remotely on my laptop, when a number I didn't recognize called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Naomi, don't hang up. My mother's voice. She must have borrowed someone else's phone. I should have ended the call immediately, but I found myself frozen, phone pressed to my ear. I have nothing to say to you, I told her. Then just listen, please. Just give me 5 minutes. Every instinct screamed at me to hang up. But there was a part of me, the daughter part, the part that had loved this woman my whole life, that needed to hear what she had to say, even knowing it would probably just hurt me more. You have 3 minutes, I said. I know you're angry. That's an understatement. But you need to understand the context. Your father and I had a troubled marriage. After he died, I was alone for so long. And when Marcus came into our lives, he was kind to me. He saw me. Really saw me. So you decided to sleep with him? Your daughter's husband? It wasn't like that. It happened gradually. He would come over to help with repairs and we'd talk. Really talk. About things I couldn't discuss with you because you were always so busy, so focused on work. He listened to me. You're seriously trying to justify this by blaming my work schedule? I'm not blaming you. I'm trying to explain how it happened. We became friends first, close friends. And then one night, I don't want to hear the details. Naomi, I love you. You're my daughter. But I'm also a woman with needs, with desires. I've been alone for 18 years. Can you understand what that's like? I laughed bitterly. So what? I was supposed to provide you with a husband? Is that my fault too? That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying, Mother? Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you're trying to make yourself the victim in a situation where you betrayed your own daughter in the worst possible way. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. For 3 years, you looked me in the eye every Sunday dinner, every holiday, every phone call, and you lied to me. You and Marcus both. Do you have any idea what that feels like? To realize that 2 of the people I trusted most in the world have been conspiring against me? We weren't conspiring. What would you call it then? Secret meetings? Hidden phone calls? Sneaking around behind my back? That's conspiracy. That's betrayal. Silence on the other end of the line. Then, I want to fix this. Tell me how to fix this. You can't. Some things can't be fixed, Mama. Some things once broken stay broken. So that's it. You're just going to cut me out of your life? I'm your mother. You were my mother. The woman I knew wouldn't have done this. I'm still the same person. No, you're not. Or maybe you are and I just never really knew you. Either way, the relationship we had is over. You don't mean that. I do. I've thought about it a lot over the past 2 weeks. And I've realized something. You and Marcus, you deserve each other. You're both selfish people who put your own desires above everything else. So be together. I won't stop you. But you'll do it without me in your lives. Naomi, your 3 minutes are up. I hung up before she could respond. My hand was shaking. The woman at the table next to me was pretending not to stare, clearly having heard at least part of the conversation. I gathered my things and left. Back at Vanessa's apartment, I found her making dinner, her famous jerk chicken with rice and peas. The smell filled the apartment, rich and comforting. My mother called, I said, dropping onto the couch. Vanessa looked up from the stove. And? She tried to justify it, said she was lonely, that Marcus listened to her, made it sound like I should be grateful they found each other. That's insane. She wants to fix it. Asked me to tell her how. What did you say? That it can't be fixed, that we're done. Vanessa came over and sat next to me. How do you feel about that? Sad, angry, relieved? Is that terrible? To feel relieved about cutting off my own mother? No, it's self-preservation. You're allowed to protect yourself from people who hurt you, even if they're family. We ate dinner in comfortable silence. After, we watched some mindless TV show, and I felt almost normal. Almost like a person who wasn't carrying around this massive weight of betrayal and hurt. My phone buzzed with a text from Simone, my lawyer. Marcus signed the divorce papers, didn't contest anything. It'll be final in 60 days. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me had expected him to fight it, to try to drag things out. The fact that he'd signed so easily felt like one more rejection. One more confirmation that what we'd had wasn't worth fighting for. "That's good news," Vanessa said, reading over my shoulder. "Clean break." "Yeah," I agreed. But it didn't feel good. It just felt final. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in Vanessa's guest room, staring at the ceiling, my mind spinning. I thought about my wedding day, how happy I'd been, how certain I was that Marcus and I would build a life together. My mother had been there, had helped me into my dress, had cried during the ceremony. Had she already been planning it then? Or did it start later? I thought about all the Sunday dinners, Marcus and my mother laughing together over some inside joke I wasn't part of. How naive I'd been, thinking it was nice that they got along so well. I thought about the life I'd imagined, eventually having kids, Marcus teaching them to work on cars while I helped with homework, my mother being a doting grandmother. All of that was gone now, replaced by this twisted reality where the two of them had been sleeping together while I worked 60-hour weeks to build a stable future for us. Around 3 a.m, I got up and opened my laptop. I wrote an email to my mother. Not to send. I didn't plan to break my no-contact rule, but just to get the words out of my head and onto the page. "Mama, you said you wanted to know how to fix this. Here's the truth. You can't. What you and Marcus did wasn't just cheating. It was a fundamental violation of every bond that should have been sacred. Mother and daughter, husband and wife. Those were supposed to be safe relationships. People I could trust without question. You took that away from me. You looked me in the eye every week and lied. You let me thank Marcus for being such a good husband while he was sleeping with you. You let me worry about your loneliness and try to set you up on dates while you were already in a relationship with my husband. You said you love me, but love doesn't do what you did. Love doesn't betray. Love doesn't justify its actions by blaming the victim. Because that's what you did on that phone call. You blamed me, my work schedule, my absence, as if that gave you permission to destroy my marriage and my family. I don't know who you are anymore. Maybe I never did. The mother I thought I had would have protected me, would have valued our relationship above her own desires. But you're not that person. You never were. So no, we can't fix this. There is no coming back from this. You made your choice, and now you have to live with the consequences of that choice. And one of those consequences is losing your daughter. I hope it was worth it. I saved the email in my drafts folder, but didn't send it. Maybe someday I would, or maybe I'd just delete it. Either way, writing it made me feel slightly better, like I'd released some of the poison that had been building up inside me. The next morning, I made a decision. I called my manager, Sharon, and told her I wanted to transfer to our Charlotte office. The company had a small satellite location here, and they'd been trying to get someone with my experience to relocate for months. "Are you sure?" Sharon asked. "What about Atlanta? Your home?" "There's nothing for me in Atlanta anymore," I said. "I need a fresh start. Can I ask what happened?" I gave her the abbreviated version. Husband cheated, marriage over, need to relocate. I left out the part about my mother. That was still too raw, too humiliating to share with colleagues. "Oh, Naomi, I'm so sorry. Yes, of course we can make the transfer work. When do you want to start here?" "As soon as possible. Give me a week to work out the logistics. I'll make it happen." I hung up feeling lighter than I had in days. This was it. The clean break I needed. New city, new office, new life. Away from Marcus, away from my mother, away from all the places and people that would remind me of what I'd lost. I told Vanessa over breakfast. "That's amazing," she said, pulling me into a hug. "You can stay here until you find a place of your own, or stay as long as you want. I love having you here. I don't want to impose—" "Girl, please. You're not imposing. You're my family. The real kind of family, the kind that chooses to be there for each other." We spent that afternoon looking at apartments online. I found a one-bedroom in Dilworth, walking distance from a park, with hardwood floors and big windows that let in tons of light. It was smaller than the house I'd shared with Marcus, but it felt like mine. Just mine. I put in an application that day and was approved within 48 hours. She was supposed to protect me. That's what mothers do. Instead, she was the one who hurt me the most. Marcus, I can almost understand. We had problems. We weren't communicating. But my mother? She had no excuse. Dr. Harris nodded. The betrayal of a parent cuts differently. It violates something fundamental about how we understand the world. But I want you to consider something. Your mother's choices say everything about her and nothing about your worth. I know that intellectually, but it doesn't feel that way. It will, with time. Keep doing the work. I was doing the work, going to therapy, journaling, taking long walks in Freedom Park, building a new community through a book club I'd joined at Park Road Books, making friends who didn't know my history, who saw me as just Naomi, not the woman whose husband slept with her mother. Jessica visited twice, driving up from Atlanta for weekends. During her second visit in early December, we were having brunch at a place in Plaza Midwood when she brought up the subject I'd been avoiding. "Your mom's not doing well," she said carefully. I set down my fork. "I don't want to hear this, Jess. I know, but I think you should know. She's lost weight, stopped going to church. People say she barely leaves the house. That's not my problem. I'm not saying it is. I'm just—" "What? Telling me so I'll feel guilty? So I'll reach out to her?" Jessica reached across the table and took my hand. "No. I'm telling you because I don't want you to be blindsided if something happens. And because I know you, Nay. I know you're hurting, but I also know you're kind. Too kind sometimes. And I don't want that kindness to pull you back into a situation that's toxic for you." I took a shaky breath. "Is she still with Marcus?" "No. They broke up about a month after you left. Turns out when there's no secret to keep, no thrill of sneaking around, they didn't actually have much in common. Despite myself, I felt a bitter satisfaction at that. Good. She's been calling my mom, asking about you, wanting to know if you're okay. She lost the right to know how I'm doing when she decided to sleep with my husband. I agree. I'm just keeping you informed." Jessica squeezed my hand. "You're doing great, by the way. This new life you're building, I'm proud of you." "Thanks. Some days are harder than others, but I'm getting there." We changed the subject, moving on to safer topics. Jessica's new relationship, my book club's latest selection, holiday plans. But the conversation about my mother stayed with me for days after. In therapy that week, I brought it up. "Part of me wants to know how she's doing," I admitted. "And I hate that I care. Why do I still care? Because she's your mother. Because you spent 33 years loving her. Those feelings don't just disappear, even when someone hurts you profoundly. It feels weak to still care. It's not weak, it's human. The question isn't whether you care. It's what you do with that caring. You can acknowledge your feelings without acting on them. You can care about her well-being from a distance without letting her back into your life. What if she's really struggling? What if she needs help?" "Doctor." Harris looked at me seriously. "She's an adult. She has friends, other family members, resources. You are not responsible for managing the consequences of her choices, even if those consequences are painful for her. I just don't want to be the villain in this story. You're not. You were the victim. Setting boundaries, protecting yourself. That doesn't make you a villain. It makes you someone who values themselves. Those words became a mantra for me over the following weeks. I repeated them whenever I felt guilty, whenever I wondered if I was being too harsh, whenever that voice in my head, the one that sounded suspiciously like my mother, told me I was being unforgiving and cold. Christmas approached. My first Christmas away from Atlanta, away from family traditions. Vanessa invited me to spend it with her and her partner Michael, and I gratefully accepted. We cooked together, watched old movies, exchanged modest gifts. It was different from the big family gatherings I'd grown up with, but it was peaceful, uncomplicated. On Christmas evening, my phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then, Naomi, it's me. Marcus. My chest tightened. How did you get this number? I convinced your colleague Brian that it was an emergency. I needed to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. Anything legal goes through my lawyer. It's not about that. It's about your mother. My stomach dropped. What about her? She's in the hospital, Emory. She had some kind of breakdown. They're keeping her for observation. I closed my eyes. That's not my responsibility. Naomi, she's asking for you. She needs you. She should have thought about that before she betrayed me. I know what we did was wrong. You don't get to call it wrong now. You don't get to pretend you understand. You made a choice. Multiple choices. For 3 years. I know. And I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But whatever anger you have toward me, toward us, your mother is sick. She needs help. She has other people who can help her. Friends, cousins, you, apparently. We're not together anymore. Haven't been for months. And she's pushed away everyone else. You're all she talks about. How she lost you. How she destroyed the most important relationship in her life. Good. She should feel that. She should live with what she did. Jesus, Nay, when did you become so cold? That hit me like a slap. I became cold when the 2 people I trusted most in the world betrayed me in my own home. Don't call me cold for protecting myself from people who hurt me. Silence on the other end. Then, I'm sorry. You're right. I have no right to judge you. I just thought you should know. Now I know. Don't call this number again. I hung up before he could respond, my hands shaking. Vanessa appeared in the doorway. She must have heard the conversation. You okay? My mother's in the hospital. Some kind of breakdown. Do you want to go? No. The word came out harder than I intended. No, I don't want to go. Is that terrible? My mother's in the hospital and I don't want to see her. It's not terrible. It's self-preservation. Marcus said I was cold. Marcus doesn't get an opinion about anything, not anymore. I nodded, but the guilt was there, heavy and insistent. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my mother in a hospital bed, alone. No matter how angry I was, no matter how much she'd hurt me, the image bothered me. Around 2 a.m, I got up and called Jessica. Did you hear? I asked when she answered, her voice groggy with sleep. About Aunt Patricia? Yeah. My mom called me earlier. She went to visit her. How is she? Depressed, anxious. The doctors think she had a panic attack that spiraled. They're keeping her a few days for evaluation, maybe adjusting her medications. Is she going to be okay? Physically? Yeah. Emotionally? I don't know, Nay. She's dealing with the consequences of her actions. That's hard. Part of me wants to go see her. And the other part? Knows that seeing her would destroy the peace I've been building. Knows that she'd probably try to manipulate me, make me feel guilty, pull me back into the dysfunction. Then don't go. You're allowed to choose yourself. What if something happens? What if she does something? I couldn't finish the sentence. She's in a hospital, getting help. She's not your responsibility. And if something were to happen, which it won't, that still wouldn't be on you. You didn't put her there. Her choices did. After we hung up, I sat with my thoughts for a long time. Dr. Harris's words came back to me. You can care about her well-being from a distance without letting her back into your life. I decided on a compromise. I called the hospital and asked to speak with my mother's doctor. After verifying my identity, they connected me with Dr. Patel, the psychiatrist overseeing her care. Your mother is stable, she told me. She's struggling with depression and anxiety, likely triggered by significant life stressors. We're adjusting her medication and setting her up with outpatient therapy. Will she be okay? With proper treatment and support, yes. These things take time, but she's getting the help she needs. Thank you for telling me. Would you like to speak with her? She's been asking for you. I took a deep breath. No. But please tell her I called to check on her. Tell her I hope she gets better. And tell her that I need her to respect my boundaries and stop trying to contact me. There was a pause. Then, I'll relay the message. That was the best I could do. Check on her from a distance, wish her well, but maintain the boundary that was keeping me sane. It wasn't cold. It was survival. The new year arrived. I spent New Year's Eve at a small party with Vanessa, Michael, and some of their friends. At midnight, we toasted to new beginnings. I meant it. This year was going to be about building something new, something better. In February, I got promoted at work. The Charlotte office was expanding, and they needed someone to head up a new marketing initiative. It was a significant step up, with more responsibility and a considerable salary increase. I threw myself into the work, grateful for the distraction and the validation. I also started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and occasional dinners with men I met through friends or apps. I wasn't ready for anything deep, but it felt good to put myself out there, to remember that I was attractive and interesting and capable of connection. One evening in March, I was having dinner with a guy named David, a physical therapist with a great smile and easy laugh, when my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. I know you asked me not to contact you, and I've tried to respect that, but I need you to know something. I'm getting help. Real help. Therapy, medication, group sessions. I'm working on understanding why I did what I did, why I hurt you so badly. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I see how wrong I was, how destructive my actions were. You deserved better from me, from both of us. I hope you're finding happiness. I hope you've built a life that brings you peace. You always deserved that. Mama. I stared at the message for a long time. David noticed my expression change. Everything okay? He asked. Yeah, I said, putting my phone away. Just my past trying to reach out. The ex? My mother, actually. It's complicated. Family usually is. I appreciated that he didn't push for details. We finished dinner, and he walked me to my car. Before I got in, he asked if he could see me again. I'd like that, I said, and meant it. Driving home, I thought about my mother's message. Part of me wanted to respond, to acknowledge her efforts. But a bigger part knew that engaging would open a door I'd worked hard to close. In therapy the next week, Dr. Harris and I dissected the message. She's taking responsibility, I observed, not making excuses. That's good. That's growth on her part. So should I respond? Do you want to? I thought about it. I don't know. Part of me does. But I'm scared that if I respond, even just to say I got the message, she'll take it as permission to keep trying to contact me. You can acknowledge her message while maintaining your boundary. Something like, I received your message. I'm glad you're getting help. I still need space and am not ready for contact. Short, clear, not inviting further conversation. What if she doesn't respect that? Then you block the number and maintain the boundary anyway. Her response to your boundary isn't your responsibility to manage. I sat with that for a few days. Finally, I sent a text to the number my mother had messaged from. I got your message. I'm glad you're getting help. I need you to know that I'm building a new life here, and I'm not ready for you to be part of it. Maybe someday that will change, but I can't promise anything. I need you to respect my space and stop trying to contact me. I'll reach out if and when I'm ready. Take care of yourself. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Her response came an hour later. I understand. I love you. I didn't reply. I saved the number in my phone as Mother Do Not Answer and archived the conversation. Then I went back to living my life. Spring arrived, bringing with it blooming dogwoods and warm afternoons. I started taking painting classes at the Mint Museum, discovering a creative outlet I didn't know I needed. My relationship with David progressed slowly. We were taking things easy, both of us coming from complicated pasts, neither rushing into anything serious. One Saturday in April, I was painting in my apartment, a still life of the flowers I'd bought at the farmer's market, when Jessica called. Hey girl, how's Charlotte treating you? Good. Really good, actually. How's Atlanta? Same old, same old. Listen, I wanted to give you a heads up about something. My stomach tightened. What? Your mom sold her house. She's moving to Florida. Tampa area, I think. To be near her sister. I processed that information. My mother, leaving Atlanta. Leaving the city where I grew up, where all our family memories lived. Leaving to start over somewhere new. Just like I had. When? I asked. Next month. She's been planning it for a while, apparently. Wanted a fresh start. That's probably good for her. You okay with it? Yeah, I said, and realized I meant it. I think it's good. For both of us. Physical distance to match the emotional distance. You've really moved on, haven't you? I'm trying. Some days are easier than others, but yeah. I'm building something new here. Something that's just mine. I'm proud of you, Nay. Seriously. What you've done, how you've handled all this, it takes real strength. After we hung up, I stood at my window, looking out at the Charlotte skyline. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. My apartment smelled like paint and the lilacs in the vase on my counter. My life was quiet. Simple. Mine. I thought about my mother packing up her house in College Park, preparing to start over in Tampa. Part of me hoped she found peace there. Part of me hoped she lived with the weight of what she'd done forever. Both things could be true at once. I thought about Marcus, wherever he was. I'd heard through Jessica that he'd sold his auto shop and moved to Columbus, working for someone else now. Our divorce was final. Our house was sold. We'd divided our assets and gone our separate ways. He was a chapter of my life that had closed. And my mother. She was moving away, building her own new life. Maybe in time, years from now, we'd have some kind of relationship again. Maybe we wouldn't. I didn't know, and for the first time, I was okay with not knowing. I turned away from the window and went back to my painting. The flowers were coming along nicely. The purple irises, the yellow daffodils, the pink tulips. Bright and alive and beautiful. Just like the life I was building. I'd lost a marriage. I'd lost my mother, or at least the version of her I'd thought I knew. I'd lost my home, my community, the future I'd imagined for myself. But I'd gained something too. Self-respect, boundaries, the knowledge that I could survive something I thought would destroy me. The understanding that choosing myself wasn't selfish, it was necessary. Some people might think I was cold for cutting them off completely. Some people might think I should have forgiven them, given them another chance, worked toward reconciliation. But those people hadn't lived through what I'd lived through. They hadn't felt the particular betrayal of walking into their bedroom and finding their husband with their mother. They hadn't spent 3 years being lied to by the two people who were supposed to love them most. I'd made my choice. I'd walked away from people who hurt me, and I'd built a new life without them. That didn't make me cold. It made me strong. The sun had fully set now. I turned on my lamps, flooding my apartment with warm light. My phone buzzed. A text from David asking if I wanted to grab dinner tomorrow. I smiled and texted back, "Yes, I'd love to." This was my life now. New city, new job, new relationships. Built on my own terms, with people who respected me and treated me with the care I deserved. Was I completely healed? No. There were still nights when I couldn't sleep, when the betrayal felt fresh and raw. There were still moments when I saw a mother and daughter laughing together in public and felt that sharp pang of loss. But I was healing, day by day, choice by choice, boundary by boundary. And sometimes, that's all you can do. You survive the thing that tried to break you. You build something new from the wreckage. You choose yourself, again and again, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when people call you cold for doing what you need to do to stay whole. I finished my painting that night, adding the last touches of shadow and light. When I stepped back to look at it, I felt a surge of pride. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. Created by my hands, reflecting my vision, existing because I'd chosen to make it, just like my life. The next morning, I woke up early and went for a run through Freedom Park. The air was cool and fresh, the park filled with other early risers, people walking dogs, pushing strollers, starting their days with intention. I ran past the lake, past the playground, past the gardens where tulips were blooming in neat rows. My breath came steady and strong. My legs carried me forward. The sun rose higher in the sky, warm on my face. I thought about the woman I'd been a year ago, the woman who came home with a migraine and discovered her world had been a lie. That woman had been devastated, broken, lost. I wasn't her anymore. I was someone who'd survived betrayal and chosen to build something better. Someone who'd set boundaries and stuck to them, even when it was painful. Someone who'd learned that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. My mother and Marcus had made their choices. They'd chosen their own desires over my trust, their own satisfaction over my well-being. They'd lived in a lie for 3 years, and when that lie was exposed, they'd tried to make it my fault. My work schedule, my absence, my failure to see their needs. But I'd made my choices too. I'd chosen to leave, to build a new life, to surround myself with people who valued me, to believe that I deserved better than what they'd given me. And in making those choices, I'd found something I didn't expect. Freedom. Freedom from relationships that required me to make myself smaller. Freedom from the burden of maintaining connections with people who'd betrayed me. Freedom to build a life on my own terms, accountable only to myself. I finished my run back at my apartment, breathing hard but feeling alive. I showered, dressed, made myself a good breakfast, scrambled eggs with spinach and feta, whole wheat toast, fresh orange juice. I ate slowly, savoring each bite, grateful for this simple morning routine that belonged entirely to me. Later, I'd go to my painting class. Tonight, I'd have dinner with David. Tomorrow, I'd go to work and continue building my career. Next week, Vanessa and I had tickets to see a show at the Blumenthal. My calendar was full of things I'd chosen, people I wanted to spend time with, activities that brought me joy. My life was smaller in some ways. No big family gatherings, no complicated relationships that required constant management. But it was richer too. More authentic. More peaceful. I opened my laptop and checked my email. There was one from Simone, my lawyer, confirming that all the paperwork from the divorce was finalized. Everything was settled. I was officially, legally, completely free of Marcus. I closed the email and sat for a moment, feeling the weight of that finality. A chapter of my life. 7 years with Marcus, 33 years with my mother, was over. Completely, irrevocably over. And I was okay. More than okay. I was good. I looked around my apartment, at the art on my walls, the books on my shelves, the plants thriving in the sunny windows, at the life I'd built from nothing, in a city where I'd arrived broken and angry and lost. This was healing, not forgiveness. I didn't owe them that, and I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to give it, but acceptance. The understanding that what they did was about them, not me. That their choices reflected their character, not my worth. I couldn't control what they'd done. I couldn't change the past. But I could control what I did next. And I'd chosen to walk forward, to build something new, to believe in the possibility of happiness even after betrayal. Some people might see my story and think it's sad. A woman who lost her marriage and her mother in one devastating blow. A woman who had to start over at 33, building a life from scratch in a new city. But I didn't see it that way. I saw strength. I saw resilience. I saw a woman who refused to accept less than she deserved, even when walking away was the harder choice. I saw myself. Not the woman I'd been before, trusting, maybe naive, willing to overlook problems in the name of keeping peace. But the woman I'd become, clear-eyed, boundaried, valuing herself enough to demand better. This was my new beginning. Built on the ashes of my old life, yes, but built strong. Built to last. Built with the knowledge that I could survive the worst and come out whole on the other side. My phone buzzed. A text from the book club group chat discussing next month's selection. I replied, engaged with the conversation, made plans to host the next meeting at my apartment. This was community. Real community. People who cared about me without agenda, who showed up without expectation of what I could give them in return. The afternoon sun streamed through my windows, illuminating the dust motes floating in the air. Everything felt clear and sharp and real. This moment, this life, this choice to keep moving forward, to keep building, to keep choosing myself. I'd learned something important through all of this. You can't control what other people do. You can't make them value you. You can't force them to treat you with the respect and care you deserve. But you can control how you respond. You can set boundaries. You can walk away. You can build a life that reflects your values, surrounded by people who honor them. And sometimes, that means cutting people out. Even people you love. Even family. Even when it hurts. It doesn't make you cold. It doesn't make you unforgiving. It makes you someone who understands that love, real love, requires respect, honesty, loyalty. And when those things are absent, when the people who claim to love you betray that love in the most fundamental way, you're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to choose yourself. I chose myself. And in doing so, I found freedom, peace, and the possibility of real happiness. That was enough. That was everything.